Hello YouTube, I'm Toby, and this is a box. Now it's not so much the box as what's inside of it that is interesting, and by the title of this video you probably already know what's inside this box. However, as of right now I am not entirely sure what is in here actually. I have a pretty good idea of it, but I wasn't exactly sure about the woman selling this to me, whether or not she actually knew what it was. But without further ado, let's open up the box and take a look at what's inside it. Nice. Alright, so it is exactly what she told me it was. It is a Power Mac G4. Now this Power Mac has some issues. I got it cheap because I think it was broken actually. She said sometimes it would turn on, sometimes it wouldn't, and it would just present weird errors. So I think without further ado we should hook it up to my monitor and test it out. Alright, so something I just now noticed right here is that the back leg of this thing is actually broken. I don't think this is a huge issue. I might actually be able to superglue this, but it is kind of sad to see it broken like this. But hopefully I can fix it. Alright, so something is definitely happening right now. It's actually quite exciting. Alright, so we are actually getting a signal to the monitor. Alright, so the system is actually working. I'm not sure what kind of error she was talking about, but I might actually experience this later. But for right now, let's take a look at the specs of this computer. Alright, so from what I can see, our G4 processor is running at 400 megahertz. This is by far the slowest CPU I've ever had to work with, but I am quite excited to try and test it out actually. And RAM, we've got 512 megabytes. I'm just going to see if I can figure out how big the hard drive is. Alright, so our hard disk drive is roughly 40 gigabytes, which is actually not much, but it is nonetheless bigger than the 10 gigabytes that it said on the back of the computer. And it is running macOS 10.4.11. Not entirely sure what exactly the name for this system is, but not really interested in that yet. But without further ado, let's try and take the computer apart and see what's inside it. I have to admit I've never actually had one of these before, and I'm not entirely sure how to open it, but I think from what I've seen online, it's just the back. Oh, pretty much just this thing right here. That was actually extremely easy to say the least. Alright, so here we actually have the inner workings of this system. Just giving you a quick look at it. We have the power supply up here. The hard disk is down here, and it is connected via IDE. I believe this is our DVD drive. And this one below it, I'm not sure what it is. I don't think there's actually anything in here. I think it's just an empty shell. Now down here we have our RAM, and it looks like one stick is taller than the other. Not quite sure why this is, but it's probably supposed to be that way. Now underneath here is what I'm assuming is our G4 processor. And this over here, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I'll look it up and figure it out later. Now this thing right here is our video card. I don't think this thing has an integrated video card, so it's nice to have an external one, I guess. And we have our little Cmos battery down here. I've actually never seen this type of Cmos battery before. Alright, so I took out the stick that was larger than the other, and it is 256 megabytes, which means the smaller stick is also 256 megabytes, giving us a total system capacity of a half a gig of RAM. Something else I've noticed is that one of our little hooks right here on the third rail, or whatever it's called, the third RAM slot, is actually broken off, which actually kind of sucks because it limits us to 3 sticks in here. But I don't really have any other type of, well, this kind of RAM, so it's not a big deal. I wasn't able to upgrade it anyway. Alright, so from the looks of it, it looks like our power supply is able to output a total of 237 watts. This is kind of an odd number. I'm not sure why they didn't just say, I don't know, 230 or 240. But yeah, I'm not an Apple engineer. I don't know why they do this kind of things. From the looks of it, this might actually be where the Wi-Fi cord is supposed to go. This looks like some kind of an antenna. I haven't been able to identify a Wi-Fi card in here yet, so I'm assuming there isn't one in here. Now overall, I actually think this system looks kind of clean. There's a little dust over here and there, but for the most part it actually looks clean, so I'm going to take the side panel up again and we can take a better look at the outside of the computer. Now the outside of the computer looks worn. I'm not sure how well you can pick this up since I think the lighting is not your friend today, but there's a crack up here as well, and there's some scratches all along the computer itself. And this is what the computer looks like from the back. I know we've already taken a look at it, but I just thought we'd take a more in-depth look. We have 2 FireWire ports, an Ethernet jack, got 2 USB ports. I'm not sure what speed these are. We have a mic jack and a headphone jack or a speaker jack. We have a modem port over here, and we have our power input. And I'm not sure why this is here. I think this is to power a proprietary monitor or something. Now the exhaust fan for the power supply is dirty, so probably could use a cleaning. And something else that bothers me is that I'm missing these plates right here. It'd be nice to have them just so I could cover up the system itself. And again we have our little broken leg down here. It actually looks like there's a piece broken off of it. I don't think this happened in shipping. I think this happened before, so that sucks, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that. And now the front of the computer is actually in alright condition. Doesn't look that scratched up or anything. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a speaker grill. And we have our empty slot, and we have what I suppose is our DVD drive up here. Not sure what these 2 buttons are right here, but we'll probably figure it out. But let's turn the system on again and see how well it fares. I think I know what she meant when she said it causes some errors. I can hear the computer running, but I'm getting no output to my screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the system off, take the side panel off again, and reseat the video card, and then reseat my my VGA connector. See if that's not going to help. Now I realized the only thing I was actually doing before when I had the side panel off was take the RAM out. So I'm also going to try and reseat that, but I'm also going to take the video card out and try and reseat it since she said it was happening to her as well. So the video card is pretty much just held in place with 1 screw. So I'm going to take it out and reseat it, and we'll have a look at it when I get it out. Alright, so this is what our video card looks like. It's actually quite simple. It's got a passively cooled GPU on it, and it's got VGA and DVI outputs. So once again, we are not having a signal to our monitor, but it does seem like, well, that's just the power on, I guess. See if we get no signal. Alright, we're not getting a signal from the video card. But it does look like the system is on. I can hear the fan spinning, and our DVD drive works. So basic functionality is alright in the system, but once again I'm gonna try and take the video card out just to inspect it a little further. Alright, so I've been trying to clean the contacts with some isopropyl alcohol. I'm hoping this will clear it up, but it also looks like the I'm not sure how well you can see that, but the VGA connector seems worn. So maybe we're not getting a proper connection in here, but that's why I have this. This is a DVI to VGA adapter. So if the VGA doesn't work, I'm going to try and plug this into the DVI connector, and maybe, just maybe, that will work. It's the wrong adapter, it won't fit in there. Damn it. Alright, so I managed to find an adapter that will actually adapt, just like that. The only problem is that it's an HDMI output, but luckily I have another adapter for that. And just like that, I have my DVI to HDMI to VGA adapter. I don't have high hopes for this setup, but if I can't get it to work through the VGA, I will have to try the DVI port. And for some reason now it actually decided to work. Not sure what is actually going on here. When I first booted up the computer, it seemed like it wanted to start up the monitor, but then it couldn't connect to the monitor, and now it actually could. I'm not sure if this is just a waiting game between me and the computer, whether the computer actually wants to turn on the monitor, but for right now it seems to work fine, so I'm gonna try and explore this system a little bit. Alright, so I found a piece of the foot from this computer. It was in the box that it came in, so I'm starting to think it broke in shipping, which kinda sucks, but I still believe I can fix it. Now I've been looking for an Ethernet cable to connect the computer to a laptop so that I can use the laptop's Wi-Fi to go, well, on the internet, but I was unable to find the Ethernet cable, oddly enough. It feels like I had a million of them just a while ago. But for right now, I'm not going to be able to put this thing online, so I figured I'd try and super glue the foot on this thing. I managed to get the feet, well, the foot off the computer, and I think I have them oriented the right way. So now it's just a matter of crossing one's fingers and hoping that the super glue can actually hold this thing together. Alright, first part is on. It's not perfect, but I'm hoping it'll work. I'm just gonna let it set for a few minutes before I try and put the last part on. Now, while I was waiting for this to cure, I was walking around and I've actually managed to find the Ethernet cable. So what I'm going to try once I get all this stuff done is to hook up my old Apple MacBook Pro to this machine, and hopefully I can gain internet through this cable right here, and we can actually test out the system online. Alright, so I got my old MacBook Pro. I've hooked it up with the Ethernet cable. Before I hook it up right here, I'm going to turn the system on just to make sure that it'll actually turn on this time. And we are golden. I actually don't think there's an issue with this system. You just gotta be patient. This time I pretty much just waited it out and it just switched on. So the video card might actually be good. It's just the computer that's slow. But let's hook up the well, our Ethernet connector and see what happens. Alright, so I have the system set up. Let's plug the connector in. See if anything happens. Turns out connecting to internet through another computer isn't as easy as I thought it would be. And as it turns out, it is still a little bit above my level of expertise. I'm probably going to have to play around with this for a while, but if I can't get it to work, I'll just have to try again some other day. We can't connect to the internet, so that'll have to wait for another day. But right now I'm trying to copy a 1080p movie and an MP3 file to the desktop, just so we can test out the speaker and see if this thing can play 1080p movies. However, it looks like transferring 2 gigabytes of data takes about 40 minutes on this system. So the USB drives, well, the USB connectors in the back are very slow, and it really sucks that there are only 2 of them, because I had to disconnect my keyboard in order to make the USB drive fit in. But I'll be with you in about 40 minutes, I guess. Wow, okay, so that took forever, but let's try and fire up the price of a mile. Okay, so it can actually play music. Let's try and watch a 1080p video. And QuickTime Player just crashed. Alright, this is the 3rd time I've tried playing the video, and I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I don't want to try this anymore. Let's try and see if we can put that broken foot on the computer again. Alright, so I've reattached the foot, and it is time for a moment of truth. And it actually seems like it's holding up. Alright YouTube, so that was my video first impressions of my brand new, it's brand new to me, my PowerPC G4. Now when it came to the 1080p video, it did manage to sort of work one time, but it was stuttering and showing single frames for a while. It was a horrible experience. Now all in all, this system is very slow, but then again it is a 400 megahertz processor. And I will see to it in a future video maybe that I can get some internet running on this thing and maybe see how well it fares online. But for right now, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you know something about PowerPC G4s, some awesome programs for it, I'd very much like to hear from you. But thanks for watching.